All right, guys, last lesson of the unit that we're going to cover, lesson 15, solving equations with rational numbers, are on page 133 in your book. It says, let's solve some equations that include negative values. So I can solve equations that include rational numbers and have rational solutions. So 15.1, number talk, opposites and reciprocals. The variables a through h all represent different numbers. Mentally find the numbers that make each equation true. So go ahead and pause, see if you can find numbers that make each one of these true, and then hit play, and we'll we'll get started. All right, hopefully you'd had time to come up with some answers for a through h. So 3/5 times 5/3. Well, if we multiply straight across, 3/5, 3 times 5 is 15, 5 times 3 is 15, 15 over 15 equals 1. So 7 times what equals 1? Well, if you notice here, if we took a number and its reciprocal and multiplied them together, we get 1. So 7 as a fraction is 7 over 1. So if we flip that, b is going to be 1 over 7. C and D, I just have to pick two numbers that equal 1. So just pick a number. So 2/5, and its reciprocal or its inverse or opposite is 5/2. Okay? Now, next one, -6 plus 6 equals 0. Any number plus its opposite equals 0. So the opposite of 11 is -11. And then just for the last two, just have to pick two numbers. So if I pick 8, then the opposite is -8. Okay? So for C and D, any number would work as long as they're inverses or reciprocals. And G and H, any number would work as long as they are opposites. All right, 15.2, matching solutions. So this is on page 134 in your book. So we just have to match each equation to its value. So we're solving for the variable. We talked a little bit about this a few lessons ago about solving for the variable. We want to get the letter all by itself, so we need to get rid of the number that is with the variable. Okay, so 1/2 x means 1/2 times x. So we need to get rid of the number with x, and that's 1/2. So here's my equal sign. Okay, it's an ugly arrow, but there's my equal sign, so I need to get rid of the 1/2. So 1/2 x means 1/2 times x. So to get rid of times, we divide. So if I grab a calculator, I'm going to divide both sides by 1/2. So if I divide by 1/2 here, these two are just going to cancel each other out. So over here, I need to go -5 divided by 1, ABC2, and I get -10. Okay, same thing for the next one. -2x means -2 times x. So to get rid of times, we're going to divide. Even though there's a negative there, that doesn't mean we automatically add -2 times x. So to get rid of times, we divide. So we're going to divide both sides by -2. So -9 divided by -2 is 4.5. Okay, so we have -10 there, we have 4.5 there. Okay, this one's a lot like the first one. -1/2 x is -1/2 times x. So to get rid of times, we divide. So we're going to divide by -1/2. We're going to divide by -1/2. So 1/4, 1 ABC4, divided by -1 ABC2. I get -1/2 again, which is right there. Next one, -2x equals 7. So we're going to divide by -2. Divide by -2. So using my calculator, 7 divided by -2 is -3.5, which is down at the bottom. Okay, now x plus -2 equals -6.5. So there's x. My number is negative. So to get rid of a negative number, we're going to add 2, because -2 plus 2 is 0, so that goes away. So if I add 2 here, if I use my calculator, -6.5 plus 2, I get -4.5, which is up here. And then the last one, once again, here's my x, so I need to get rid of the -2. To get rid of a negative, I add 2, so those go away. So 1/2 plus 2 is 2.5. So that goes there. All right. Moving on. A hiking club is on a trip to hike up a mountain. The members increased their elevation 290 feet during their hike this morning. Now they are at an elevation of 450. Explain how to find their elevation before the hike. Well, they're at 450, and we know they increased, they went up. So to find out where they went or were before, you're going to add minus 290 from 450. So Hans says the equation E plus 290 equals 450 describes this situation. What does E represent? Well, we increased 290 and now they're at 450. So E is where they started. Hans says that he can rewrite this equation as E equals 450 plus negative 290 or 450 minus 290 to solve. Compare Hans' strategy with your strategy we found from the beginning. Well, yeah, at the beginning we just could subtract. Okay, remember we want to get the variable by itself, so to get rid of a positive 290, we subtract 290. The book a lot likes to add a negative. Adding a negative and subtracting is the same thing. Okay, number 2, the temperature fell 4 degrees in the last hour. It is now it is 21 degrees, right? And solve an equation to find the temperature it was an hour ago. So we have the temperature. We don't know what it is, so we'll put T for temperature. Fell 4 degrees. That means we're going to subtract 4 degrees, and it's going to equal 21. Okay? Now remember, we want to get the variable by itself. So we need to get rid of this minus 4. To get rid of a minus 4, we add a 4 to both sides. So minus 4 plus 4 goes away. It's 0. T equals 25. Okay? Number 3. There are 3 times as many students participating in the hiking trip than last year. There are 42 students on the trip this year. So 3 times, oh, that's a bad color. Let's try that one. 3 times as many students this year as last year. Well, we don't know what there were last year. So 3 times students equals 42. Explain to find the number of students came on the trip last year. Well, to get rid of multiply, we divide. So we're going to divide by 3. Okay, so divide by 3. Mai says the equation 3s equals 42 to describe the situation. What does S represent? Students from last year. Mai says that she can rewrite her equation as S equals 1/3 times 42. So multiplying by 1/3 is the same as dividing by 3. I like to divide because then I'm not dealing with fractions. So it's the same strategy. So 42 divided by 3 is 14. So 14 students came last year. Number 4, the cost of a hiking trip this year is 2/3 the cost of last year's trip. This year's trip cost 32, right? And solve an equation. So this year is 2/3 of last year. We don't know the cost from last year, so we can go 2/3 times the cost equals 32. Okay? So to get rid of times, we divide by 2/3. So those go away. Divide by 2/3 here. So using my calculator, if I go 32 divided by 2 ABC3, I get 48. So the cost last year was 48. Okay, moving on. We're not going to do that one, so we're done. Lesson 15 summary. To solve the equation x plus 8 equals -5, we can add the opposite of 8 or -8 to each side. So you can go 8 plus -8 to get 0, and -5 plus -8 to get -13, or you can subtract 8 from both sides. Because adding the opposite of a number is the same as subtracting that number, we can also think of subtracting 8 from each side. We can use the same approach for this equation. So we have -12 equals t plus -2/9. So the -2/9 is the number we need to get rid of because it's on the same side of the equal sign as the t. So to get rid of a minus, or -2/9, we're going to add 2/9 to both sides. So -12 plus 2/9 is -11 and 7/9. Okay? To solve the equation 8x equals -5, we can multiply each side by the reciprocal of 8, or 1/8, or we can divide both sides by 8. So -5 divided by 8 is -5/8. Because multiplying by the reciprocal is the same as dividing, we can also think of it as dividing by 8. We can use the same approach here. -2/9 t, we're going to divide by -2/9. and we get 54. So for your assignment, it's number 1 and number 2 in your book. We're just solving for the variable. Okay, on letter A, it's multiply, so we're going to divide to solve. Remember, we're divide by the number with t, so divide by 2/5. Okay, here, letter B, it's subtraction, so we're going to add 8, because that's the opposite. Letter C, it's a positive 1/2, so we're going to subtract 1/2. Here we're multiplying by 3, so the opposite is dividing by 3. And here we're multiplying by -3, so we're going to divide by -3. Okay, number 2, you're going to take these 3 numbers and you're going to plug them in and then just figure out what the number is. Remember, you can always send me an email if you have any questions.